They have to say no to their kids. Let's have a look. Good evening, everyone. Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's check out this article from the ABC discussing the impact of the latest interest rate or cash rate target increase, which has already been passed on by all of the banks. And well, let's look at this story because they're complaining that they have to say no to their children. Now, if the first time you have to say no to your children is because of interest rate increases, perhaps you are living beyond your means. Putting it out there. Because when I mentioned this to Rachel, I asked our daughter, our eldest, we don't say no to you. And she pretty much scoffed and said, you do all the time. So yeah, Rachel almost suggested we do a reaction video of her at that concept. Now, I have a little bit of a different perspective as a small business owner. It's not like a steady stream of money coming in. Money comes in big chunks over time. So you've got to learn to, well, make hay while the sun shines and live like a pauper sometimes. And it's just a part of life. So let's have a look at this one, guys, because honestly, we're going to see more and more of these articles. The ABC will be putting it out, just playing up the emotional factor here. It's okay to say no to your kids, that you don't need to get them a special thing or they have to do without. That's normal. That's part of life. We all did it when we were younger. One thing I would actually put out there is that maybe kids have too many extracurricular activities these days. They don't have time to be bored. So the RBA lifts interest rates to a 12-year high as families brace for more mortgage pain. Now, we all knew this was coming. Well, we probably didn't. Everyone watching the channel knew this was coming. We didn't trust the RBA. I should do a poll to see how many of you locked in when it was a cash rate target was at 0.1%. There are people that believed the media reporting that the cash rate wouldn't increase until 2024. All of those of us that didn't believe it, we locked in. Some people didn't lock in because they expected rates to go negative, because the media reported that the banks were asked to prepare for that eventuality. But the Reserve Bank governor mentioned to an economic standing committee of the Senate that no, there's no point in doing it because it's not effective, as it has been seen in Europe. That was never reported on the media. The only reason I know that is because I watched the bloody economics committee, because I'm a bored YouTuber that makes content about it. So you've got to be wary about all this stuff. And ABC loves the emotional manipulation. I'm sure they'll be fine. I'm sure the kids won't care. So Lisa Mamone has her children in front of her mind in every decision she makes. And having to say no to their wants is one of the hardest things she has to do. Yeah, I mean, that's life. Okay, that's just life. I wonder if Dad has to worry about that. Dad's probably the one. Well, the kids play one off the other. You know, one parent will say no, then they'll go check with another. And yeah, you got to have a united front. The 39-year-old and her husband, Vinny, have never really had to do without. Okay, now this is the reality of it. They haven't had to go through tough times. I think a lot of Australians are going to realize what is a necessity and what isn't. Because we've had it so good for the last 30 years, pretty much. In 2021, the couple remortgaged their Mildura home in order to complete renovations and increase their loan by an extra $10,000 in annual repayments. They were one of thousands of Australian families who did not foresee 13 interest rate rises in 18 months. Their yearly repayments have risen by an additional $10,000 since the first hike in May 22. I mean, I know 13 hikes seems incredible, but going down to 0.1% is not normal. It was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Perhaps the media wasn't interpreting it correctly. Even if rates go down, Okay, even if rates have peaked, maybe 4.5, maybe 5%, even if they go down, they're not going to go to 0.1 again. They're going to go to 3.5 maybe. They were prepared to pay $490 per week, up from $280 before they refinanced in order to complete their renovations. But now they'll be paying an unaffordable $660 per week. I mean, we're talking tiny amounts here, guys. $300, under $300 a week. That's a tiny mortgage. $660 per week is not that crazy when we look at what rates were like in the past. But we've had it so low for so long. What's going to happen is Dad's going to have to work on the weekends. He's going to have to do some Ubering to get an extra $200 in a week. She said her family dined at her in-laws' house frequently in order to cut down costs. Every hike we get, it goes up anywhere between $30 or $40, she said. Today, the Reserve Bank a few days ago increased the cash rate target, not the cash rate, the target, to 4.35, the highest rate in more than a decade. Yeah, because it's been so low. The bank's board held the cash rate at 4.5% last month in order to allow time for the economy to adjust to previous attempts at curbing inflation. I mean, is it even going to curb inflation with government spending? Or will they be raising the rate and we'll have to see shipping costs going down? It hurts me. But today it lifted the cash rate by 25 points and thousands will be forced to reassess their budgets. Yeah, this is a part of life, guys. You're just going to have to re-evaluate. I've been through some really tough times, really, really tight financial times. And, well, one thing we targeted then was getting out of debt. Getting out of debt. That's this extra $200, $30 a week may be nothing if you don't have a car loan. We don't know their financial situation. If they've got a car loan, they've got credit cards, that's what really gets you because you get all these different things clawing away at you. If you only have the mortgage and no other expenses, $700 a week is going to be a lot easier to manage than if you've got to manage the $700 a week and the credit card repayment and this repayment and that repayment. Particularly if you haven't had to do without, as they have, they may not have had to really dig into their finances to see where all the money's going. What is it? Ramsey has his Every Dollar app. I've never actually used it. Let me know in the comments if you've used his budgeting app. But I remember, for me, it was Excel when I was going through just where all our money was going. And realizing, okay, that little subscription there, wait, that adds up. That one, that adds up. Oh, okay, all of those together in a month, that's 1 week of mortgage repayments right there gone. And if you haven't had to go through that process, which if you just own good times, you've not had to worry about it, money just keeps coming in, that's just the lesson that some people have to learn. And I think we're going to see that. It's not it may feel like shit when you're going through it, but years later, this could be the best thing that ever happened to you because you get control of it. You go, never again. We're never being in this situation again. We're going to get our shit together. If you come together as a team, this can be a positive struggle that you go through. That's the big if. You got to come together as a team, husband and wife. It hurts me because sometimes the kids are like, can we go and get such and such today? Can we do this tonight? She said. I have to say, no, we don't have enough money. Sorry, you must wait until next payday. That's the most horrible thing I've ever had to say to my kids, and I hate it. That's part of life. The kids will deal with it, okay? Explain to them the reality of it. Explain to them the mortgage has gone up. We've got to find a way to budget. It'll all be fine. You don't want to put the stress onto the children, but you want to let them know reality so they're not asking you for things. This isn't terrible what they're having to do to say no to the kids. That's just normal sometimes. It'll make them more resilient. She said mortgage repayments were not the only household cost the family was contending with. Utility, groceries, petrol prices were also posing a challenge. Here's one thing that we have, a big advantage that I just realized today. We don't use much petrol. we don't have, because we homeschool, we don't have the daily drop-offs. Our drop-off is to the dancing lessons or to the swim lessons that we do with the kids. But we're not on top of that. We don't have to school back, to school back, to school back. We work from home. I use petrol when I go to visit sites and drive around occasionally. Lots of meetings now online. So, I mean, that's a saving, a homeschool bonus that I think people don't consider. And that we don't have the school lunches, because it's just all family sitting together for a lunch, for a big meal, or leftovers. That's another consideration. One way to save on groceries is buying in bulk. We had the big chest freezer, and we'd buy a beast in it. You can see Rachel's got videos on the channel of how she prepared all the meat. We can't do it now. The rental's too small, so we just buy lots of meat. Yeah, going the carnivore diet and eating a high-fat, highly satiating diet means you don't need to buy as much crap. Because all the carbohydrates, most of it's filler anyway. It's not really useful. It doesn't satiate you. We used to buy coffees. We used to buy lunches at work. Now we're finding that we're cooking extra the night before and taking those for lunches. She said, yeah, this is normal. I mean, I will go out and buy a coffee before I go to work. I'll go to 7-Eleven. Lunches at work, that adds up. That gets really expensive. That's $10, $15 a day. If both of them are doing it, that's, 5 times 15? That's a big chunk of your extra mortgage money there. That's $50, $75. That's $150 if both of them are doing it, husband and wife. There's your extra money in your mortgage. We're making our own coffee or tea at work without spending the extra money. Yep. I mean, so they're making lifestyle changes, and it's just going to be part of life. They'll be fine, honestly. They'll sort it out. They'll find a way to make ends meet. You always do. So no quick fix. RMIT University economics professor Ashton D. Silva expects the challenging conditions to persist well into 2024. I'm sorry to be negative, but don't think things are going to get better in the immediate short term, he said. I think we're facing a very challenging time. Well, I would argue it feels extra challenging because we've had it so good for so long. He said the situation was unlikely to improve until the RBA was satisfied with the results of the inflation control measures. The RBA has increased interest rates, and this has had a dampening effect on the market in general. What they're doing is, in my view, the right thing, and we have to accept that this is not going to be a quick fix. This is something that's probably going to take some time, and in the meantime, we'll need to make the best of what will be difficult circumstances. So, I mean, here we go. We're looking at the increase in repayments. We've looked at that many times on the channel. So let's take a moment and have a bit of a chat about this one. Now, I've said this many times before. You've got the property doomers who are predicting the housing market will completely come collapsing down because interest rates have shot up, and they'll swoop in and buy all the properties. And I've said Aussies are not that stupid. This is slow moving. They're going to adjust their lifestyle and make changes as necessary. You see here, a normal family dealing with a sudden increase that they didn't anticipate, and they'll get out of it okay. They'll find a way to do it. You can scrape together another $200 when you go from not buying coffees, not eating out, going the cheaper petrol, cooking in bulk. There's a lot of ways you can do it to get by. Picking up extra work, doing extra hours. What is it? What's Ramsey's favorite thing? The pizza shifts. You can do Ubering, delivery. It's shit money. You're not going to make a profit. Your car depreciation is going to be more than that. But it means you still have the usable asset after it. You're not selling it. And you're getting cash flow in. Maybe that's all you need until other opportunities arise. You can also just sell crap. Stuff you don't have, electronic devices, toys, anything. It's a bit harder now with garage sales because so much stuff is cheap, but that's another consideration. So guys, what do you reckon? Let me know your thoughts on this one. I know I've got some idiots in the comments pissing me off right now, thinking that everything's gone down the gurgler. But I'm not seeing it. Not in the circles I'm involved in, at least. And this example here, it's just people facing a challenging time and adapting to it. This isn't the end for them. Hopefully they'll come out stronger and they'll get their shit together and they'll be fine. You know, what are we, 4.35? We hit 5%. You got to find a bit more money. Got to find a bit more ways to make ends meet. We even looked here on the channel how many of you, the grumpy bastards that watch HeiseSays, would give money to a family member to keep them in their house. 60% did. So we've got to keep that in mind. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'm going to go play Minecraft with the kids, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.